Hello and welcome to the Pitchside Studio. We've had an exciting day now. We lost the first session to fog and then we came back and the fast bowler in Seales got 3 wickets and reduced Pakistan to 46 for 4, and then came the fight back from the 2 middle order batters and they managed to put Pakistan in a somewhat good position. So you'd probably say that this third and final session, even Stevens. I've got my 2 guests alongside me, Amir Sohail and Ian Bishop. Welcome, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Bish, looking at how the new ball was used and a lot of expectations with the spin, but Seales did very well, very disciplined the way he bowled. We'll have a look at the follow wickets, the 4 of them that Pakistan lost for just 46. I'll bring in Bish to just tell us what was done very well by Seales especially.
Yeah, I thought he shifted his length fuller quite nicely after initially starting back of a length, because he's always been a lovely outswing bowler, and therefore to get his length fuller, draw Herrera into a shot from that off-stump channel was typical of what we've seen from him in Test match cricket. A little bit of a strangle down the leg side from Gudakeshmoti, who bowled a 14-over spell in what was eventually the first session of play. I thought was creditable to him. Shan will be kicking himself and then utilizing the variation, I thought, from wide of the crease. A skill that he's learned to express a lot more over the past 12 months or so. His use of the crease, I thought, also aided in his success, Jayden Seales. So he's becoming all-round an excellent bowler, and then to get Babar Azam with one that angles him, holds its line. Absolutely brilliant. He gets a lot of high-class players out with that new ball in that initial spell. 35 wickets last year in Test match cricket for the West Indies, and we can see why in this spell from him this morning or this afternoon.
Won't be wrong to say you're expecting more from the spinners, but good old-fashioned disciplined fast bowling does the job.
Yeah, look, tales out of school, and Amir Sohail would know this. When I woke up this morning, one of the players was on my mind. So I typed up a message to send to them, because you're coming to the subcontinent and you're thinking, this is going to be really hard work. I don't know how much success I'll get. But no, my message was simply this. Don't have a premeditation of what you're going to this ground to meet. Always be prepared to accept conditions as they're given to you on the day, and you might be surprised actually with what you find. And because of the coolness of the climate, it has aided the seam bowlers with the new ball in Jayden Seales' case, his bowling with the coolness of the climate. A little bit surprising, but you have to be prepared for that.
And there's another thing which I was very impressed with Bish. Initially, when he realized that the openers, they are showing good awareness of the off stump, he started to pitch the ball up. And once there was no swing available for him, he changed his length. He started to bowl back of the length, and that's why he was able to pick Babar Azam and then Kamran Ghulam. I think it's all about making adjustments, and that's where he made the difference for me.
Let's just now focus on that counter-attack from Saud Shakil and Rizwan, especially Shakil. As we mentioned in the commentary, he comes across as a player who likes that challenge put up to him. And I think he really shined through that with the conditions challenging him with his skills.
Yeah, he's become man of crisis for Pakistan. There is no doubt about that. You know, he knows how to deal with arduous situations. And the reason why he's been able to do it so consistently, he's a assured batsman. He's assured of his technique, and he knows how to milk the ballers. And he stays in comfort zone. He knows that, okay, if I have to deal with arduous situation, he decides. In South Africa, when Pakistan was dealing with a serious situation, he came out and he started to take the attack to the bowlers, and he was successful. And in Pakistan, what he does, or Sri Lanka or subcontinent, he just plays within his limits, just milk the bowlers, keep on hitting the holes with the occasional boundaries, and that's how he's been able to absorb the pressure and keeps on delivering for Pakistan in difficult situations.
Speaking of within his limits, when you look at Rizwan and the way he bats, maybe on the eye you feel that he's in all sorts of trouble. He works things around and eventually gets himself a 50, which is of course an achievement in these conditions.
Well, what we're seeing here is an abject lesson in how to reapply pressure, whether that's using your feet, whether that's the sweep shot, whether it's the cut shot. I think it's the way that the better players in the subcontinent are able to play on these sorts of surfaces. And the West Indian batters, they will or they should be looking at this and saying, we can't just be sitting ducks. We can't just sit. The orthodox doesn't necessarily work in conditions like these. So I really appreciate Rizwan and that sweep shot that he's employed. We had an old saying in the dressing room, 10 and 17 in front and behind square on that leg side, right? When in doubt, sweep.
Yeah.
That's what we used to say, but it's not as easy as that, though.
You can see almost 30 of those runs are on that sweep shot on that wagon wheel. When you come and look at how Pakistan have played and how the spinners have operated, you feel maybe in the final session, no purchase for the spinner. Is it due to that exaggerated turn there? It looks good for optics, but then you just need that slight turn for the edge.
See, as a bowler, you have to keep on asking yourself questions on a pitch like this. If you regularly beating the edge of the bat, you have to change the angle. At times, it makes me wonder if I'm a left-hander, why a bowler, an off-spinner, comes round the wicket. You know, first try me bowling over the stumps. And if you are beating the edge of the bat consistently, then go around the stumps. Otherwise, there is no point. You know, what we saw, they were not able to change their plans. They couldn't, they were not able to actually adapt to the situations or how the pitch was responding. As a spinner on a pitch like this, when you're bowling, you need to be consistent. You have to play with the patience of the batters rather than experimenting a lot. What I saw from West Indian spinners on a pitch like this, they were looking to experiment a lot. They were changing their lines consistently, lengths consistently. I don't know why. Maybe it's the inability to bowl on consistent line or lengths, but as a bowler, you don't have to do it on a pitch like this. Just keep it simple. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, I was asking Bish at the start of the game, when was the last time he actually saw West Indies opening with a spinner? When you looked at this bowling unit for this in the 11, you happy with one pacer, maybe later on with the older ball?
Yeah, look, my particular preference would be to have a couple of guys. That would be my preference. When you look at Pakistan, they've gone in with 3 frontline spinners and 1 out-and-out seamer as well. As the conditions have presented itself today, ideally, you would have... Kemar Roach is unwell, so unable to take his place. There's Anderson Phillip, another seamer who they could have stuck in there. But having looked at the surface, they thought, you know, spin is going to play the major part here. So I'm a little conflicted, really, as to a pre-match decision.
When you look at, of course, how Pakistan has gone about their batting, there was a deliberate effort of trying to score more or score freely in that third and final session. We'll talk about the Pakistan's run rate, how they approached in that final session after the break. Well, speaking of Rizwan and Saud, let's bring in Amir Sohail and ask them what has really impressed him about the way they've approached. Yes, the sweep shot has worked, but to just make those slight changes on a surface while reading everything off the pitch.
You know, what really put off the bowlers, in my opinion, when Rizwan started to jump out of the crease. That forced the bowlers to change the trajectory and also the pace. You know, they started to dart the ball in, and it became easier for both the batters to actually sweep the ball. Once you flight the ball, and when it lands on the surface, it jumps. When you bowl it flatter, it doesn't bounces that much. So as a batsman, you are able to sweep the ball with confidence, and that's where they made the difference. And there is also another factor, I think, which must have been discussed during tea time in the Pakistani dressing room. If this kind of a weather persists, then both the teams won't have full 5 days of cricket. So to be able to force an issue, they have to score runs quickly. And that's how they'll be able to force a result or put the opposition under pressure. And that's why I think the attitude changed after tea.
If I take you to the West Indies dressing room, the bowlers have gone wicketless for a session and a half. What would be your chat starting tomorrow?
Well, there's several areas. Obviously, they need Jayden Seales to be bowling another spell. That is critical. He'll rest overnight, he'll come back. The spinners, though, are still getting the ball to go past the bat. I don't know if regularly is the right term, but enough to give them confidence. But they have to find a way to defend a little better with the field, particularly, for example, on the sweep. And as Amir said, I still think there's some consistency there. There's a situation in the Caribbean where every season, every first-class season, the leading wicket takers, about 6 or 7 of them are spinners in that top 10. But the spinners generally come into international cricket and still struggle. So I think this will be a great test of the quality of, not Moti so much, although I think he has some work to do, but Warrican and Sinclair in particular, to give us a good idea of their quality. So be more consistently in a good area and get your fielders defending some of those singles and boundaries.
You know, Pakistan's batting 143 for 4, and of course, more the merrier. They'll try to keep batting as much as they can. But when you look at the West Indies batters out in the field, what are they thinking? What kind of a score is going to be enough in that first inning? Where do we stop there?
Look, one thing the Western batters, they have to keep on telling themselves, okay, what they have seen, it's going to be consistent on a pitch like this, because this kind of a weather, you do not get natural variations of the surface. The ball is going to turn. There is no doubt about it. Maybe on the 5th day there is inconsistent spotted when it comes to the bounce. Otherwise, this pitch is going to play like this. And the lesson they're going to learn from it, you know, you have to stay positive. You have to think about runs rather than defending the ball. If, as a batsman, you keep on thinking about runs, then you're able to put the ballers under pressure. If you are bogged down, well, one delivery is going to see the back of you.
Last one from you, Bish. I was talking about this in our pre-show, that what Pakistan did against England, you said England struggled against playing spin. Back home conditions, more subcontinent-like, you feel West Indies batters have a better chance out there against the 2 spinners?
Oh, look, it's a known fact that the West Indies batters struggle immensely against spin bowling and slow bowling, more than they do against medium pace. They have their issues against high pace, but they struggle against spin. And that's why this will be an acid test of them. Just recently, late last year in the Caribbean, Taijul Islam, the Bangladeshi spinner, Mehdi Hassan to a lesser extent. This is about 2.5 times that.
All right. Okay, Amit, Bish, thank you so much for joining us. We've had an exciting day of cricket, and we're expecting more action tomorrow. This spin and the conditions are really going to test us up here and, of course, the men out there in the middle. So, the WeGoTel Mobile presents Allied Bank Test Series. The first test, day 2, will start tomorrow here at the Multan Cricket Stadium. Do join us at 9:05 a.m. local time. We'll bring you all the action from day 2. Until then, you take care of yourself and stay safe. It's a good night from all of us.